morning, good afternoon, good day, and welcome to Goway's 55th Virtual Anniversary Roadshow. Today I'm joined with three experts, and I'd like to introduce you. On my right, I have Shirley, who is the VP of our Groups Only division. In the center, we have Mark, Rose Amongst the Thorns. He is VP for Europe North. And Risa on my left is VP of Europe South. So, travel is transforming at a breakneck speed, from AI impacts to sustainability tourism to tourism for local immersive experiences and many other trends. So today, my expert panel is going to unpack some of these emerging trends that are going to shape travel in 2026. Basically, what travelers want, how the industry is adapting, and where we are headed next. Goway's embraced sustainability as a very core aspect of our business. So, Mark, I'm going to start with you. What new practices or innovations have emerged in the past year?
I would say, from a tourism perspective, we've gotten better at putting metrics behind sustainability, right? We're not just now ticking boxes to meet criteria. Now we've actually been really good at measuring, for instance, our carbon footprint. That's something that, due to technology and practices over the years, we've gotten very good at nailing down how much carbon emission we have. So whether you're staying at a hotel or you're flying, and there are real actions that can be done once you measure something, right? So now we're seeing hotels and airlines and transport companies where you can give back your carbon emission and reduce that and counteract a lot of that. So there are measures that come into play. So that's one in terms of technology where it's helping us in sustainability.
So, Mark, what are the major drivers between the growing shift towards experiential and authentic journeys as opposed to the old bucket list destinations?
Right, that's a great question. I think now we're seeing a shift in terms of our travelers from becoming just observers to participants. I think that's the most important thing in travel right now, where you're feeling a connection, not just with the place that you're visiting, but more so with the people that you're encountering. So you're not just now seeing things, you're experiencing things, whether it's through food, whether it's through meeting the locals, having dinner or lunch or a meal in their own homes, going through a place where you're just participating in events. Like, I think now there's a shift from just seeing, let's say, the Eiffel Tower and now being immersed in the Parisian culture. Right?
You know, I love that. It's conscious exploration almost.
Exactly.
So, Risa, continuing with the sustainable and conscious exploration, how are travelers balancing the eco-friendly and the low-impact options with their desire for comfort and luxury?
Well, yeah, I mean, as Mark has mentioned, I think the data is really important here. I think it's making people ask more questions about their travel. So they're asking more questions, they're seeing more options available. A lot of our partners are contracting new hotels that are eco-friendly, sustainable. So all of these things are really important for the traveler. So I wouldn't say, they're asking a huge amount of questions, but they're starting to ask questions. So I think there is a shift happening, which is great to see. I think we're all moving in that direction. So it's a balance of both comfort, looking for comfort, and as well as intentional, conscious actions.
I love that. And you talk about intentional. Something that has been an unintended consequence of the popularity of so many of the destinations that we travel is over-tourism. So there's been a lot of talk about two terms. One is destination dupes and the other is twin travel. Can you give us some examples of what this would look like?
Yeah, I love that term, destination dupe. So we're seeing a lot. There's been a lot of articles, a lot of conversations about that. So as VP Europe, I mean, a destination dupe would be something like, the heavily populated Venice. I love Venice, Italy, but also, going to Bruges, Belgium, which is known for its canals, or Aveiro in Portugal, which is also known for its canals and mini bridges. Another destination dupe, I mean, we're seeing a huge amount of tourism in Japan right now, which is causing a lot of availability issues and hotel issues. So maybe other destinations like South Korea or Vietnam are other alternatives. In other areas that I could mention, from my other colleagues in different regions, Egypt is quite popular, but another alternative that's getting more and more popular is Morocco. They share the same culture, the same rich history. So there's a lot of different options now that travelers have, moving from the more well-known destinations into the lesser-known destinations, I think, which is great. Definitely social media has a lot to do with it, as well as more people are discovering these off-the-beaten-path destinations.
No, I really love that. And again, coming back to the intentional travel, very much the over-tourism does not sit well with sustainability. So I think in terms of sustainability, what role do local communities play in terms of the future of sustainable travel?
Oh, I think they play a huge role. As Mark mentioned before, people are looking for more authentic experiences. So they're going into the communities, they're participating in, local food tours that go into neighborhoods that they would have never ventured off. They want to get to know the local people, understand their story. So I think that it's going to be a mix, more so that it's a mix of both seeing, the top destinations which are a must, and as well incorporating some of the local experiences. And that's what creates, I think, memories and, something to talk about. So it's a mix of both.
And I just want to add to that, and now we are seeing quite a lot of hotels and properties where they engage in the communities now, because they are operating in their land. So whether it's in Africa or in Europe or in Asia, when you have a property that's boutique and small, we're seeing a lot of these really cool small boutique properties engaging in their local communities, asking them, hey, is this right for our community where we live? Are these activities okay with you guys? So we're seeing that engagement, and that's very important, because a lot of our clients, your clients, want us to do the research in terms of finding these sustainable hotels. And there are, as I said, metrics to that, but there's also the practicality involved. Are they actually reaching out to the local communities? Are they actually engaging, the village or the community? Do they get involved, right? Do they employ, a lot of people say, hey, we employ locals, but are they employing folks from like 200 kilometers away, or are they employing people from within the community, right? In Africa, this is very prevalent, where now you have lodges where they're employing people from within the village, where they can go home at night and hang out with their family and spend time together, rather than staying at the lodge for 6 weeks at a time and going home for 2 weeks. Now that's changing a little bit.
Mark, I'm so glad you brought up Africa. I think there are areas, particularly Kenya, which is a pioneer in leading the way, where they, in fact, the communities own the lands that the conservancies sit on, and they earn money from every single tourist that goes in. And so that has gone such a long way in terms of preventing poaching and having them very much involved in the community. So I think it's really, really important. So thanks for bringing that up. Shirley, there's a lot of talk about multi-generational travel and why they travel, and celebration travel. In what ways are travel experiences evolving for families and multi-generations?
Very similar to what Mark was saying. Travel for families and multi-generational groups have shifted from wanting to visit just the landmarks and the highlights to wanting to create those deeply meaningful shared experiences. So people, travelers today want to connect to each other, particularly in the groups world, want to connect to each other as well as the destination in very authentic ways. Focusing more on memorable experiences opposed to ticking those boxes. And when it comes to these multi-generational trips, they're designed to bring the generations together and immerse them in activities that all ages can enjoy.
That, talking of all ages, I've heard you talk about celebration travel, families that are traveling for milestone birthdays or reunions, or how are agencies and destinations catering to that type of travel?
It's really about transforming those important life milestones into unforgettable adventures. So it's not just about a birthday party, it's about a shared adventure. And these adventures they're highly personalized, combining culture and their personal interests. And of course, they have to have that wow moment, which is Instagrammable. So from a group's perspective, some examples that we've done for major celebrations, it could be champagne, sunset, dinner while on safari out in the bush, a private yacht in Dubai for an anniversary celebration, a family reunion in Ghana where they're tracing their roots and participating in a special naming ceremony, or a full day in Tuscany wine touring with a photographer to record those moments. We've even done bachelor parties in Barcelona with a club hopping bus and their cocktails on rooftop patios. And one of my most favorite was the Halloween-themed party in a Romanian castle. So really,
Love that. Wow.
the celebrations really are immersive and one of a lifetime experiences, bringing people together.
So talking of experiences, Shirley, thank you. That was very true. And what you're seeing in groups, I think we're seeing in FIT as well. Risa touched on very much the different reasons for people travel. And I'm going to ask you further on that. What other factors are driving the popularity of slow travel and stay a while itineraries? Are travelers really seeking less but deeper exploration? Is this a real trend?
Yeah, I think, what you said at the very end, deeper exploration. So they're not necessarily seeing less. I think the big sites will always be there. The Big Ben, the Eiffel Tower, the Roman Colosseum, those will always exist, and those will always be top of the list for a reason. But I think people are looking instead to take their time now, instead of rushing through a destination over 10 days, maybe staying in one or two destinations and really exploring, going into the neighborhoods, talking to the local people. I would say that, this really changed. It was really evident after COVID, if I can say that, where I think people reflected a lot on the busyness of their life, and they really understood, the intention that it takes to, slow down and to really appreciate and experience things to its fullest, as opposed to rushing through it. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think slow travel it's here, and it'll just continue to grow. People are looking for more deeper experiences.
Completely agree with you, and I see that in Asia as well. People are they're spending longer in one city or one place, and it all ties up in what we're talking about, the local immersion, because people are looking for all of those kind of experiences. In fact, my next question is, how have things like food-focused travels and those experiences with the locals that we speak about, how has that changed the face of the way we curate travel?
Yeah, I think food it's no longer just a meal. It's, trips are being really tailored into every single itinerary. You can go to a ceremonial tea ceremony in Asia and Japan, visit a local winery as opposed to the big wineries in France, have a local lunch or a Michelin star dinner in Peru, which are pretty famous for. So there's huge amount of experiences with food. Again, social media is great for that. People want to post all their meals, post all their pictures to see where they've gone. And it's really just as relevant, as important as those big sites, as those big highlights within a trip. So
completely agree. And
can I also add to that? We also forget as travel professionals that a third of their day when clients travel are set for eating.
I love that. You so true.
Right? And we oftentimes forget about it, but it's such an important part of traveling.
So talking of food, are local festivals, home dinners, off the beaten path activities overtaking traditional experiences? And do you have any standout examples?
I don't think they're overtaking it. I think they're being incorporated into it. So, during the day, they could visit, the big highlights, the Eiffel Tower in the nighttime. They could do, a wine tasting in a little boutique shop just around the corner. So I think they're being incorporated with the big sites. Some of the things that I think stand out for me are cooking classes. If you've ever participated in a group cooking class, it's really about, it's not just connecting with the local food, but it's connecting with the other participants, and people have just a laugh about it. It's such a great experience, and you get to enjoy great food at the end.
3 experiences a day.
Yes, exactly.
We have a program, as I mentioned, in Peru there's a lot of Michelin star restaurants. We have a program in, I think it's Lima, where they book your reservation into a Michelin star restaurant. So that's pretty phenomenal to have an experience like that. Yeah, I think that there's, again, visiting locally run shops and restaurants, speaking with the locals, speaking with the families. I think it's really just an immersive experience.
Oh, no, I completely agree. And as a person who would travel for food, I completely agree. Everything that has been discussed about that. And as a person who also travels on my own, there's a big trend in solo travel, and particularly solo women traveling alone. Shirley, how have you seen this trend evolve?
This trend just continues to grow. And I think a lot of it is because particularly women and younger travelers are tired of waiting for friends or their spouse to want to travel, so they're just wanting to embrace the world on their own. We've seen a huge increase on the group side of women traveling. We see them traveling, doing a combination of sightseeing with some shopping, a lot of wellness travel so that they can rejuvenate and recharge, yoga groups. We've also seen some special interest groups as well, particularly on the food side, since we're on there. Juicing, we've done juicing groups, vegan trips to Korea. Another niche that we've been seeing is some single parent groups as well. We have one agent who does a lot of widows traveling together so that people can connect. So that is a huge opportunity for anybody wanting to do a group, is that there are a lot of women out there wanting to travel within a group. So by putting a group together with an interest that is your own, that they will embrace, that is a great niche to get into.
I can add, actually, to that. Women in solo travel, we're seeing that on the rise. I think also, too, it's no longer taboo, right? So it's women and solo travel are getting together, and, it's very common to see solo travelers, and women traveling throughout our globe, throughout our destination. So, yeah.
And our partners are embracing it as well. So, for example, in Africa, some of our partners are working with us to reduce single supplements so that women or solos can travel on their own with their own room. So the industry is embracing that as well and coming together.
So talking of Africa, a lot of the lodges in Southern Africa in your shoulder season, which is probably about 8 months of the year, do not charge a single supplement. And when you're talking about these high-end lodges, it is fantastic. So, for example, I do love to travel with my girlfriends. I really don't want to share with them. So that is a huge thing. So definitely, Shirley, I agree. So the other thing, from a group's point of view, are people traveling to discover new skills? We've spoken about the cooking side of things, but learn other things as well. Is that part of a group?
Oh, absolutely. It's really about learning and engaging with the destination and with their fellow travelers. So we actually incorporate that into pretty much every itinerary. And for the month of September into October, we're actually gifting a free local experience for any groups booked. And it ranges from, in Australia, having a private welcome to country, Indigenous welcome to country ceremony for your group, drumming lessons in Brazil, empanada making classes in Argentina. So we have a variety of different local experiences that we ensure that we flavor into every itinerary, because there's always learning to do and experience, and people really are embracing that.
I love that. So we, as a company that's been around for 55 years, have sent many, many travelers traveling. But there's a whole new demographic that's emerging, and I'd love to throw this one to you, Mark. How are Gen Z and other diverse communities reshaping travel? What expectations do these segments have?
Sure. The Gen Z is an interesting one, or Gen Z for our American friends, because a lot of their travel decisions are driven by their consumption of media, right? Whether it's through YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, call it what it is. A lot of their travel decisions are based out of travel bloggers and travel influencers. I think that's a super important shift that we're seeing. 10, 15 years ago that didn't exist, and we as a travel community need to adapt. I think for us on our side, we actually need to be part of this consumption portion, right? They can get their education on some of these locations and it inspires them to travel, but it's our job as a travel community, travel professionals, to then take them to the next step to help them plan those inspirations. So I think we have to find a way to insert ourselves in that timeline where they're consuming aspirational and inspirational travel through media outlets, which they're on every day, yes. Right? And then now we have to find a way to be that professional to guide them and say, hey, this is how you actually do it. That's the nice, fun stuff, but we as travel professionals will tell you how to get it done and how to get it done correctly. So I think we're getting better at that as a travel community. I think we're probably a little bit late in capturing that, but in general, we're getting ahead of that, or getting very good at that.
So Mark, what actionable steps should travel agencies take to tap into the fast-growing demand from the Gen Z, from solo travelers, from multicultural audiences?
Right. I think it's our job to simplify the process. And as we mentioned, there's so many things out there now. So when you look up, you might want to Google, hey, I want to go to Italy, right? There's endless blogs about Italy, endless people telling you, oh, this is the way to do it. This is how you get it done. But then what? Right? There's so much information out there. It's actually become an overload now. So for those that consume that type of media a lot, now it's our job to simplify it. The travel world doesn't have to be complex, and it's our job to tell the solo travelers or the younger Gen Z travelers to say, hey, it's actually not that difficult to plan a trip to Italy. Let me talk to you. And the one thing I want to bring to is let's bring the human element, right? A lot of I know Gen Z folks are using AI to plan their trips. And the margin of error when it comes to AI is quite high. So let's bring that human element back to travel planning. I think that's super important. That's why we exist as a business. That's why our travel agent friends are there in the business, because we bring that human element that no other person on the internet can bring when it comes to travel planning.
I 100% agree with you, Mark. I think as travel professionals, we get to know the customer. AI doesn't get to know you, well, maybe through, but really get to know our customers through qualifying, getting to know their wants, their needs, so that we can make those really strong recommendations to make that trip extra special.
That is true. So we've come to the end of our 30 minutes, but I think to leave this panel without having them share their top favorite experience ever would be doing you a injustice. Risa, tell me one of your favorite experiences. Doesn't have to be big, just very meaningful.
Oh, wow. Okay. A lot of experiences. I guess one experience over the last couple years, is visiting the island of Madeira. Madeira is an island off the coast of Portugal. And to me, it's kind of has that mix of, it has gastronomy, it has, the ocean all around you, it has great restaurants, and it's just, I'm a mountain person, so it's very hilly in a lot of areas, microclimates, and yeah, to me, it's, it's my second home eventually, hopefully.
I love that. Shirley, how about you?
Oh boy, that's a tough one, Moira. I would say maybe my most recent trip to Uganda, where I had the opportunity to go visit, hike up to see the mountain gorillas. So that was a very special experience for me.
Awesome. Mark?
For me, can I give two? So for those that know me, I worked in Africa for a long time, so a bulk of my travel experience have been there. So I'm going to give you two examples. In Africa, one of my favorite things that I've done is walking safari in Zambia, just to be on foot with wildlife and elephants at a distance is something that is so calming yet heart racing. Something about that juxtaposition is truly amazing. And then my second one is traveling through Switzerland. It's amazing how here in North America, we talk about train travel as if it's a downgrade, right? It's a means to get from one point to the next. But in Switzerland, it is the way of life, funny enough. And that's how we travel around Switzerland. And it's not just a means for transportation. It is also the tour. When you're doing these panoramic train routes, you're just in awe that, yes, that's the reason why it's a little bit more expensive, but it is that experience. That's what you pay for. And we sometimes forget that, and we have to explain it to clients. But so for me, being on a train in Switzerland is just astonishing. I'm not really a train person, but you get a very good appreciation of their transport system.
Well, mine is lowing. Oops, let me start that one again. So similar to Mark, I am from Africa, and my most favorite experience in Africa, one of the many favorite experiences, was canoeing on the Lower Zambezi, which is absolutely spectacular. And then just one very simple experience in Japan, which was so moving and emotional and very, very special. It's called a Goma fire experience, and our suppliers actually are the only suppliers that actually are allowed to bring tourists into this place. So it's very authentic, and it's a 30-minute experience where there's this taiko drumming and these monks that are humming, and there's meditation involved, and this fire ceremony, and it's a cleansing ceremony, and it is absolutely rhythmic and incredible, and something that transforms you. And I think that that's what a good experience does. It transforms and it transports you. So thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed our discussions, and look forward to the next one.